Welcome back to Epic Exchanges. I am your host, Kelly Snider, and it is my passion to help people like you tell your stories to inspire and empower other people. And as you know, we've had a couple of the authors from our upcoming book, The Strength to Shift, already featured on the podcast. And today I get to welcome Peggy Meyer, another one of our authors. Welcome, Peggy.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Kelly. This is going to be a wonderful time just to share our stories and just invite the listeners to learn more.
Exactly. Well, why don't you tell our listeners and our viewers a little bit about you, who you are, what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Peggy Meyer. I live in Nebraska, USA, and I have 6 kids. We have a farm. I'm a former mental health therapist, did that for over 20 years. I love to learn, and I spend a lot of time. My kids' sports activities. We're a sports-minded family, so a lot of time right now is doing that, and love every moment of it.
I know you have a very busy schedule because you have kids that not only do sports activities, but excel in their sports
Right.
activities. So
Yep.
sometimes you are flying to the other side of the country to cheer them on.
Yeah, I know. And I'm got my September schedule all booked out with between middle school and college. There's a lot of activities going on.
Right. Well, we're here for you to share a little bit about the story that you are sharing in the book, and then we'll chat about it. So why don't you just dive in?
All right. So my story is about listening to your heart. And as I mentioned, I love to learn, and which is a great thing because I love to learn lots of different things. But with a lot of things that I've told my clients in the past, everything's like a two-edged sword. So on one side of it, it drives my passion for learning new things and expanding my knowledge and getting a deeper understanding of concepts. And it's just really exciting to me. On the other side, seeking knowledge from outside sources has often led me to doubt myself, and that I think that others are like more like experts, that they know more than I do, and that I don't know very much at all. And gosh, that can really like get me down because and it really kind of stops me from trusting myself and listening to myself, because I feel like I have to do it the way somebody else did it, or it's not going to work, or it's not going to be successful for me. And so once I get into this kind of I doubt myself and, oh, am I doing it right? And once that happens, I'm like, I'm not feeling very good about myself or my capabilities at all. And I easily fall for things. Like, I don't know if the listeners or the viewers out there have ever done this, fall for an email or an ad that can, promises this quick fix and to get you to where you want to go faster. And I have a tendency to do that when I'm kind of feeling that way. And I mentioned I am a mental health therapist. I have been for over 20 years, but I really never felt aligned to it. So alignment is just one of those things that kept kind of coming from the inside. I was like, oh, it doesn't really quite fit. And it didn't fit how I viewed individuals and how I wanted to help them. But that was all kind of what I needed to do at the time. So I had actually been looking for different opportunities to get out of my therapist role for like over 10 years. And I thought coaching was going to be it. Explored that, but I felt like it was kind of the same thing. Working one-on-one with somebody, trading time for money, those kind of things. And I really, really, really wanted to just positively impact the lives of many people. And doing it one-on-one just wasn't cutting it. I just wanted to be, bigger. Yeah. So that's started looking at what I was already doing. Okay, what are we already doing? We have this large farm operation. We've been expanding. How can I improve that? How can I expand that? My role in that has been bookkeeper from the get-go since we got married. I am a really organized person and I like to be really efficient with my time. And so this bookkeeping role was, just fit me. And I like to pay the bills on time. I don't like late fees. Yeah. So that was annoying to me because my husband would just put it off, So I was trying to find ways to have this bookkeeping process be more efficient and less like time consuming. So guess what? Lo and behold, there was an email that showed up that into my inbox with an opportunity to do just that. And I could take this idea of being more efficient in my bookkeeping, turn it into a software that could benefit so many people. So it checked the boxes, like something related to the farm that could make my life easier, that could make the lives of so many more people better, and it could create this passive income for us. So I totally went all in. I mean, all in. I spent countless hours, so much of my energy traveling, talking to people, you know, writing this out, like figuring out all the little steps on what people were telling me to do, a large sum of money just to make this idea a reality. And it did become a reality. And but through that process, I was like, oh, I have to close my practice. Like, okay, well, this is going to take off. I'm going to close my practice because, people out there told me I have to give it 110% of my effort. And I can't do that if I'm doing two different things. I was counseling is totally different than what I was doing with the software piece. And so I closed it. I got a coach because this was a huge kind of mental shift for me. Um, I had to find ways to change my mindset because it was just very different. This is two different things. And I just desperately wanted this venture to work out. And so, again, traveling a lot. And I realized it was starting to cost me a lot, like time away. My insides were going like, it's costing you time away from home, time away from family, the money, the energy. And I was just getting really frustrated because again, I started to doubt myself. I've been listening to these people, these partners, all these other people that say, this is what you should do. This is going to work. This is going to work, do this and this is going to work. But it didn't feel like it was working, and I was questioning whether it was even worth it, whether it was going to work. My relationship with my spouse was starting to get strained and, all of this. So I kept working through all of this with my coach and going through all the exercises and actually going back through all the things that I've learned in the past. And I was starting to like listen to my inner voice. And it was telling me, but it was telling me something, but you know what? I pushed it off. I kind of ignored it. Like, oh, no, no, these people out here, they know what's going to be best for me. So it was just a back and forth tug and war until one defining moment, but I'm not going to give it away. It all has to lead up to something. And it's in the book, but all my years of gaining the knowledge and the process of working with my coach and the inner voice all came together in this one moment. And I really realized I had to listen to my heart and my inner voice and find my true calling. So you'll have to pick up the book to figure
Yes,
out what that defining moment was.
exactly. Oh, wow. There's so much in there. And I can so relate because I have often been that person like, oh, I need one more course. I need one more thing. What's going to be the magic
Yep.
course, the magic like button
Right.
that makes it all happen? And
Yeah.
I haven't found it yet,
I
but
haven't either.
I feel like I've got all kinds of degrees or like the equivalency of all kinds of masters of degrees in business in this and that because of all the work I've done trying to
Yes.
find it.
Yes, I know. I could like if somebody pay me to do these things, like that would be my job. I just
Exactly.
go to these
Yeah.
conferences.
So the thing that struck me though, from that, and maybe it's because I've been through the same thing, is this like questioning or doubting
Mhm.
your knowledge, your experience, compared to all these other people that are out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it totally sounds like imposter syndrome
Mhm.
because, and we all do it. Well, especially women. I know men suffer from imposter syndrome as well, but I think as women, I actually had this conversation with Tammy a couple weeks ago, one of the other authors in the book, where uh, like there have been jobs that I have not gone after because I was missing one thing on a checklist of 20 requirements. And I was like, oh, I don't have that piece, so I shouldn't apply for it, or like a promotion or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Whereas most of the men I know, they could be missing half the things and they're like, huh, I can learn it. I can
Yeah.
do it. And they'll go for it and then they'll get it. And
Yeah.
yet, and yet I constantly doubt myself. So can you just chat a little bit about your own imposter syndrome or those kinds of things holding that have held you back?
Yeah, and I still think it's just one of those things that I don't think ever goes away. Like you learn something new, you're just like an infant, learning something. You don't know it all yet. So there's like, but as an infant, they don't know any better. As a toddler, they don't know any better. But we know like, oh gosh, there's so much here. I wonder how much time is it going to take? Is it going to be worth it? Am I going to be able to grasp it good enough to be able to do it the way that, the employer wants or that I want or what I expect it to look like? That I think a little bit of that is that perfectionism in there. And I know I have that. It's like it's got to be kind of perfect. I got to get it just right. But we kind of fail to see a lot of times too, those people out there that are teaching us these things, they probably spent decades learning all of this stuff. And we're still at the beginning process. So I feel like I have to constantly remind myself, yeah, this is new. I'm not going to get it right away. It's okay to question yourself, but don't question to berate yourself and tell you you're not good enough. Just like what is it that I need to learn? What is it that I need next in order to move forward?
Right. And often it's just about being one step ahead of
Mhm.
the person that you're trying to lead in that direction or the whatever you're talking about. Because yeah, you might have, I don't know, taken a couple courses or read a few books on a subject, but the chances are that most of the people that you might be talking to or sharing it with
Mhm.
haven't don't have that knowledge. You might not be at the expert level yet, but you're ahead of them.
And I think that's one piece that we fail to remember is that just being one step ahead, somebody's looking for that next step. And they're not looking for the whole piece because sometimes for that is totally overwhelming. Like they just want the next step. And if you can remember that your next step is somebody's like dream, is like you can go back and go, oh yeah, what's the next step? And it's easier than to go back and teach. But you also open yourself up to like not leveling out, like there's always a next step for you too. So it's that whole process of figuring out that, yeah, you may not know it all right now, but you know more than somebody else and they're looking for it. And the best thing for you to do is to teach them so you anchor it in more so you can go on to the next step.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just talk about the collaborative book, The Strength to
Yeah.
Shift, that's coming out on September 9th. That's coming really quickly. And tell us, like, why did you decide to participate in a collaborative book project like this?
Well, honestly, I've wanted, like, author has been on like my vision board for years. And, but it always seemed like this big, daunting task that I really had no idea how to get started. Like I didn't know the steps to it. And it seemed like, oh gosh, life with six kids is a lot. So I don't always have the time. Like writing an entire book was just like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna have the time to do that. Like, how do I even start? What do I even do? But this collaborative book is like, oh, I can just write one chapter, like, and work with other like-minded people that want to do the same thing that might be a little scared to write the whole book, but then also get guided by you, Kelly, because you are a published author. And so you have the knowledge of what steps are next, and you can help us guide us through this process. So it was like safe. It was a safe place to like start. Like, wow, do I want to do this again? Hey, I thought it was fun. So I'll probably try to do this again. But it is just sharing, and having other people that are in that same space with you, like unsure, don't know if their story is all that great to be, print worthy or anything like that. But the process was so much fun to work with other people that are going through the same thing. And it was like a safe spot. Like you can't fail. And there's timelines. So I'm accountability here. Like, here, we got this timeline now. Like, we got to get this moving. So all of that together, I was like, it's a great process.
Awesome. I love that you found it fun because that's really the goal. I know some people who have taken part in books, and actually Tammy recently was chatting about another project that she was part of where it wasn't as the authors weren't as connected. There wasn't as much going on. And we really try to let you all know each other. And
Mhm.
we do Zooms and things to bring everybody together, but so that everybody's supporting one another because it is no fun doing it alone.
No, no.
And it really helps to know people are feeling the same thing that you're feeling.
Yeah, we can bounce off things with each other, like, hey, I'm struggling with this. Oh yeah, me too. Like, and we work it out. And it's fun because it's an opportunity to meet with people that you would have never met. Like, I mean, we're from different parts of the world, like different time zones to get us all together. I mean, it's an amazing feat. I mean, again, I love to learn and I love to learn about different areas and different people, but really like everybody has kind of, which is really kind of neat, that similar, and ended up being similar stories as far as like the strength to shift and like how, I don't know, it's just amazing how it all comes together.
Yeah, it is. I love it. Obviously, it's why I keep
Yeah.
doing it. And you kind of answered my next question around like which is fine if this is the kind of thing you would look at doing again if the opportunity presented itself and the timing was good.
Oh yeah, I would. And I would encourage a lot of people to, because I feel like every one of us have a story. Every one of us have something that we've gone through in our lives that can be an inspiration for somebody else. We don't know who really needs to hear our story that needs it right at that time. And somebody's going to listen to this, somebody's going to watch this and go, oh yeah, I resonate a little bit with this story. And the thing with working with people, we don't have to be from the same background. I mean, we're talking about emotions and we're talking about feelings and how we work through them. We all have that. So it's fun to like listen to everyone else's stories and really like, I can relate to every single one of the other author's stories. I haven't lived their experiences, but I can feel a time in my life where I felt that. So I really feel like that's a benefit too for working with a collaborative book like this and other authors.
Right. And it really is the human experience of emotion. And it's why movies are popular. It's why television shows and books, because we can read about or watch on a screen
Mhm.
what's going on and we actually feel the same emotions that the characters are going through. It's in a different way, but we internalize them. So if we're watching some kind of thriller, I'm not a big fan of like horror movies, but they just become part of my dreams. But if if someone is feeling extreme fear on the screen, we are feeling
Mhm.
some of that.
Yeah.
And same thing, grief, sadness. I mean, how often do you cry at some dramatic thing? I mean, I remember crying at a long distance commercial back in the day. Like the first time I cried, I'm like, I'm crying at a commercial. But it totally was telling a story of like missing family and, you know,
Mhm.
back
Yeah.
before cell phones and everything, getting on the phone and connecting long distance and just being like so happy to connect with family members you hadn't seen in a long time and hearing their voices or things. And things touch us because human emotion is universal.
Yeah.
It is human.
Yeah.
And often we deny those emotions.
Mhm.
So being able to have people like you and the other authors in the book and a lot of the people on my podcast be vulnerable and share their true experience, including those emotions, including the really hard times, the sad times, the happy times. People can relate because that emotion comes up for them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, that's automatic. Emotions are automatic. I mean, and you mentioned ads, and it's like they're tuned into that.
oh, totally.
They want to push those emotion buttons. But
Yep.
that's how we remember too. We remember those things when it touches our emotions. And so when we remember, we can also remember stories of people making it through and what they did to make it through. So I think that is so powerful.
Exactly. Well, I'd like to encourage everyone listening or watching us to join us at our live launch on September 9th. We're going to have more interviews with Peggy and all the authors, so you can meet them all. There's going to be some contests, some prizes, some games, lots of fun. It's 2 hours on September 9th. It is 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific time, and that would be noon till 2 p.m. Eastern time. So wherever you are in time zones, because we have authors in Europe. Two of our authors will be in Europe at that time, and then right across North America in Canada and the US. So we'd love to have you there. Peggy, where can people find you if they want to know more?
So my website is Positive Solutions for Life. So positive solutions with a number 4 life.com. I have a podcast also named the same thing. So you can check me out there, Positive Solutions for Life or podcast on any of your podcast, wherever you find it.
Perfect. And as always, we will be sharing links on our social media pages and linking to Peggy wherever we can. So you can find her easily by following us as well at Epic Exchanges. Thank you so much for sharing your story here on the podcast and your experience with being part of the book, but also in the book. So
Thank you so much, Kelly.
super excited to have it come out and impact people's lives in a very positive, empowering way.
Same here. Thank you so much.